Hi guys, this is Dan. Welcome to my channel, Engelgeist. For those of you that are new, welcome. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. For those of you that support me over on Patreon, thank you so very much. This is the daily forecast for Friday, July 10th. This is not necessarily set only specifically for that date. It is a message for the highest good for the greater collective. So if you're seeing this on a date that's not July 10th, that's okay. You don't have to turn it off. It may have meaning for you. It may be something that you can apply to a situation that's going on in your life. But for those of you that are regular tune-in viewers, this is building upon the energy that we've been looking at throughout this week. We're now entering the end of the week, which is that devil energy that we saw. We've seen it the last 2 weekends. I really believe that the devil's here to show us where we might be lacking, where we might be sort of betraying ourselves, where we might be, sort of acting out in not our best way, in our favor. This can be on both a micro level in our environment, like say ourselves alone, or on a macro level, say the world at large and what's going on in the world and how sort of we might be undermining each other through our actions, fear-based decision making, that sort of a thing. That's kind of the energy of the devil. The devil seeks to have us take sort of the easier route, or it's, how do I want to explain this? Like, it's sort of like, numbing ourselves or using fear to be the propeller to make our decisions by, and it's not necessarily serving us or anyone else. All right, so let's see what we've got going on here. And generally, too, I have to say this with the devil, he's going to force us to face it, or we're going to kind of suffer. We become in bondage to him, right? Is sort of the idea of the card. Oh, hey, King of Cups. I love that it's a black swan on the King of Cups. All right, so this is called the Father of Cups. Let me just show it to you a little bit closer. Sorry, it's sort of dark in this room. I don't know what that's about, but this is the Father of Cups. Swan is the element of grace, too, which I love. And so what could we use to sort of counteract the devil? Our emotional strength, maybe. An essence of love, maybe. The King of Cups, to me, when we have that underpinning stone of peace throughout this entire week, where ultimately, like, what everybody truly wants, I think, deep from within their human existence, is the element of peace. This swan, to me, speaks to this idea of bringing that in, or slowly gliding towards that. Swans are very sort of protective animals and very familial, right? And they also mate for life, which is a lovely thing. To me, when I look at this black swan, there's a grace and a beauty to him. There's a regalness to him. There's this sort of awareness of our emotions and an appreciation of that. We don't necessarily hide who we are. We move through situations smoothly, quickly, adept. I just sort of feel like, and there's this aspect to it where we can be protective and we can take care of ourselves if we need to. I don't necessarily get the feeling that we need to worry or any of that, but I feel like the swan is a nice counterbalance to that devil energy. It's something we want to focus on. Where's the love? Where's the emotional connectedness? How are we connected to ourselves emotionally? Are we supporting ourselves authentically? Are we embracing who we are? Do we have an awareness of where we're at emotionally? Are we comfortable with that awareness? Kings are always, they've done the work, right? They've achieved the greatness. They have aspired to something better, and this being a Cups card would be something better in the realm of the emotions, right? We have the ability to sort of gain ownership or appreciation of that, even if our emotions are kind of a little bit wonky, right? We can still accept ourselves and move forward with authority. That's always a king aspect to a king card, is having that clarity and that authority in the emotional realm to sort of be graceful enough to, even amidst the Mercury retrograde and a devil card underneath, create that peace for ourselves, even if we don't believe it. Sometimes, to me, I almost get this a little bit of a fake it until you make it sort of vibe with this swan. There's a pride to this swan that we may project out how we want to be or how we want to feel emotionally. And that in turn will bring that to us, right? Because we're behaving that way. Even if we don't feel, some of you, I get this feeling in my gut, some of you may not feel that that's completely genuine, but that's okay. Sometimes we have to, how do I want to say this? Like pretend as if, so that we can get to that desired result, right? Because what ends up happening is we end up actually stepping into the shoes of that desired result without even realizing it through dress up or pretend, right? And who doesn't like a little dress up, especially the swan girl? All right, so let's see what the animal card is. Sorry, I'm moving quickly. I got up late this morning. Well, I got up super early, then fell back to sleep and got up really late. So I feel like I'm behind today. I think this is a lovely card, though. It feels like emotionally we're getting some clarity, even though we had that Two of Swords yesterday. To me, it feels like emotionally we are rocking some awareness. Okay, so this is Vulture. This is an air sign for sure. I'm going to say about vultures get a bad rap, first and foremost. I think vultures are sort of like the cleanup crew, really. They kind of come and they clean up messes. Sort of the way that I see it. They leave no waste. They are sort of nature's recyclers in a way. They also are very sort of pack oriented, or they fly in groups, similar to swans, where swans are sort of, mate for life. I don't know that vultures mate for life, but I know that they sort of travel together in groups, right? So they need those that they love around them, right? They find appreciation in those that they love, and they sort of don't mind sharing. They don't mind, they find sort of the treasure in the trash, so to speak. So I think that I'm going to read both of these stories. I don't know that that's the story, but that's just my interpretation of this vulture. I also love this purple mist around him. To me, that takes me to the third eye, or the intuition. Intuitively, we can sort of figure situations out, especially if we're emotionally balanced, like this Black Swan, this King of Cups, this Father of Cups. Taking care of ourselves, nurturing ourselves in a more sort of protective way, like that of the role of the father, would bring about this vulture energy, where it's intellectual energy. It's able to see sort of maybe the hard parts of a situation, whatever that situation may be, and utilizing those hard parts to actually move forward, or get whatever it is that we need out of the situation. Does that make sense? Like, for lack of a example, like, roadkill basically is like a fine meal to a vulture, right? So when I think about this being an air sign, to me, this concept of vulture would be like, we can make, especially with this Father of Cups energy, right? This sort of regalness of this swan and this emotional balance that I feel like is with this swan. We can take sort of the uglier situations that might be being created, or we're seeing through that devil energy that's underpinning this, and the vulture can actually turn it into something of value that we can actually learn. But we have to not only feel emotionally aware and like accepting of ourselves, but also sort of intellectually, like the mind. And then I feel like intuitively also plays into this with this vulture. That also helps us to sort of see where situations may not be quite ideal. We can actually maybe see purpose in them, use from them, opportunity within them. We just have to look a little bit more closely, right? So let me read these stories to you really quick, and then we'll get into the grounding stone. So I love that we got the King of Cups today. He's just a lovely energy, very endearing and nice. So Father of Cups, I forgot my glasses again, diplomatic, open-minded. The Father of Cups has a truly unique and dynamic personality. He's the most feminine of all the fathers within the tarot, and usually a patron of the arts. He's a dignified man who supports his family and community. The only thing holding this man back are his deeply rooted insecurities. They are vast and affect his personality in many unpredictable ways. So that's the insecurities are this sort of emotional aspect of this card, I think. This is about coming in contact with an appreciation of our emotions and where we feel emotionally, seeing the beauty in it. That's the grace and the beauty of the swan. Being protective over that, loving as like unburdened and as free as possible, being more in touch with our feminine side, that sort of thing, I think is completely okay today. Accepting that, And moving forward is a beautiful thing. Let's see what Vulture has to say. Vulture, guardian and purifier, essential for rebalance. So the vulture is perhaps the most misunderstood creature of all. This intriguing bird balances our ecosystem and prevents the spread of disease. It does the dirty work that no one else wants to do and cleans up our messes. The vulture appears when there is a situation that needs to be purified or brought back into balance. Remember, the vulture is greatly undervalued. What you thought was a mistake or tragedy is a blessing in disguise. And that's kind of what I said about vulture, is sort of like seeing these messes and being able to utilize them in a way that's productive. I think that there might be, for some of you, emotionally, you guys might be struggling right now. I just think that because this Father of Cups makes me feel like you're being forced to maybe look at some things and get harnessed on some things that might be affecting you emotionally. Vulture's here to help with that, right? Help you to maybe be a little bit more discerning, look at these emotions from a place of how they're helping you, right? And how to sort of purify them or turn them into assets rather than liabilities. When in balance, it clarifies and reveals wisdom. When out of balance, it's dramatic or aggressive. To bring into balance, you need to clear your space and sage. So, I kind of feel like both of these birds are preparing us to get in balance, obviously, but also like this emotional acceptance of wherever it is that we're at, good and bad. I like that about it. I also think that this vulture brings about this opportunity to look at situations that otherwise might seem stressful, anxiety, whatever, and find a new way of operating within them, finding the solution, finding the opportunity, finding the sort of ability to transform the situation, to have it serve you versus being victims to it. And the grounding stone is faith on Tiger's Eye, guys. So we're looking for that peace this month or this week, right? This faith is a beautiful stone to have. I think that this is about faith in our own ability to transform situations, faith in our ability to rebalance ourselves, faith in our ability to own our emotions, own the more feeling aspects of ourselves, to not necessarily run from them, to find that when we find that faith within them, we also find that peace within ourselves. And that brings about the opportunity to then take situations that otherwise don't really work for us, or we think don't work for us, and actually make them into situations that do. And I feel like that's kind of that energy of vulture, is that he'll pick away at the carcass of whatever it is we're dealing with and make a meal out of it. But we have to kind of come into that faith in ourselves, faith in our emotional selves, in our intellectual selves, all of that sort of stuff, in our ability to transform, right? And when we find that faith and we ground in that faith, we can kind of get through anything. We can sort of glide through with the grace of this Father of Cups. That is your forecast for the day, guys. I hope that makes sense. Thank you again for tuning in. Please tune in tomorrow. We'll see where this goes. Don't let the energy of that devil bother you. I think that that's what Vulture is looking at, and he's going to pick over. We have to have the faith that we can go through this and address it. It's not going to kill us. All right, I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.